Computer started recording. Wow, let's go. Yeah, that's a new feature. I used to do that, and you have to do that, then I have to hit record again.
Mm.
So since I think, okay, I'll lay out my theory real quick. It's a
Yeah.
music theory. So no,
Okay.
NBA season's gone. We'll talk the initial stuff on. So I always loved my mom was she took me to group music classes, my sister and me. So appreciative. I loved it, but like it only took me so far. And
Yep.
then I took some privates, but it was very classical, and it just didn't do it for me. And I didn't have someone like my mom was very much like, hey, if it's very funny. She was a very un-Asian parent that way. She was just like, I don't know why. She had a different childhood growing up in a good way, but just like, hey, if you don't have passion for it, quit it, but find something. Like, she was like, you go do something and you go do it for like 2 hours a day outside school. You find something. And I'm like, oh, I
Yep.
love piano. She goes like, yeah, but you're not practicing it. Or you're
Right.
practicing it 10 minutes a day. Blah, blah, blah. That's not enough. I couldn't figure out why I didn't love it. And then one day I said, hey, mom, I don't want to play these songs from 500 years ago. I want to play I'm sure there's a lot of kids like this. I want to play
Yeah.
them from the
Yeah.
radio now, right? Right?
Yeah.
I don't want to play the songs from, I don't even know. I don't know if I was smart enough to say that, but from way back, well. So then she tried to find a teacher, but it was kind of hard. And then the guy taught me sight reading, and he tried, and I played Baby Come Back and all these. I was like so happy because it was on the radio. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
one day I was buying something for my daughter for piano, and
Yeah.
he's the one who told me, no, dude, you need to know your chords. He's that other
Oh, this is
teacher.
the salesman guy.
This is a salesman guy, right? And
Yeah. Yeah.
he's like, and pretty. I mean, he's not Paul or Willie, not even. And he'd be the first. But he's a pretty good person. He said, yeah. He said I did always have an ear, but I didn't really get. And he said I can play some classical, but I didn't really get music till chord. And he goes, yeah, I'm way better than you. But so he's the one who said, know your chords, know this. I
Yep.
didn't even know what a sus chord was. I didn't know what
Mhm.
this was. Like all these terms. Like I don't think I could have even hung with the piano and Willie crowd without his grounding and. And he told me this is blues, and he's the one who said it's 1 4 5. I was like, I've never heard of these things. So I wonder, and then I look at people who play guitar, and I would say a large, because I think what my pattern may not be the exact same pattern what people go through, but I think they go through some pattern of this. They do boring scales, they do this, and unless they are so infatuated with themselves, they have that inner passion, or they have someone browbeating them, you
Yeah.
know, which I've seen as well, and it can
Yep.
work. Although some of those people who are browbeaten, I know some of them. They get to the whatever level 10 is, or whatever the level, whatever it is. I don't even know what those levels mean. We didn't have those when we were kids, or at least not in my area. They lose their passion at age 18. So
Yeah.
and so that's a waste. I'd rather play mediocre piano like myself with passion and fun than be
Yeah.
great and not have it. I don't
We're in
mean
that space
I'm
with
not
my
beating myself
daughter.
up. I'm just being honest with the. So then I realized, oh, and then why do these guitar players? Like I saw them in college. Like they'd be playing for 6 months. They'd be
Hmm.
impressing the girls with the chords.
Yeah.
Let it
I know.
be, let it be. And I'm like, is the missing link to get a larger portion of people playing some piano? Um, is it just chord? Is it just a chord approach versus classical scales, reading? Which I do read. By the way, I do read music probably better than the average chord player. But like, I don't know. So curious to get your thought. Uh, it's a
So
different
your
topic than
theory
what.
is that you're saying your theory is that perhaps the reason guitar seems so accessible in terms of a shorter upload time before
There
you can
certainly
play.
seem, and maybe more than accessible. Because I think they're equally daunting instruments. In different ways. Obviously, piano has its challenges, and guitar does too. But I just see more people who enter the guitar realm come out somewhat successful on the other end.
Hmm.
And I see more people who enter the piano realm be one of those adults. Well, I never practice, and I'm like, I'm not even sure that's the.
Hmm.
I actually think it's a. And then when Ken, the sales guy, showed me the chord thing, and luckily I could read music and I could play lead sheets. I mean, I can't, I wouldn't have known what a 251 is. I wouldn't have known what this is. I'm
Yeah.
not going to know that, like through Paul and Willie, I'm not going to, like,
Right.
I know it's going to take me time, but I see the path. I'm like, maybe that's the problem. Maybe like in the guitar, they're not playing Mozart. They're not playing this. I don't know. So that's a theory I hold. I'm curious to get your perspective. I may be dead wrong.
Oh, I don't know that there's any way to really know the answer to that. So I don't
Even to
have.
make a hypothesis, like if I were to do a scientific experiment, even just to
Yeah.
make it.
I mean, I feel like piano and guitar have this relationship that other instruments don't share, almost like cats and dogs. Like there's this harmonic and melodic ability. Like for example, the guitar has the ability to just sit there and be an accompanist, and people don't identify laymen, non-musicians,
Yeah, yeah, but like you
don't
see them
identify the acoustic guitar as really an accompaniment vehicle
yeah.
because they think guitar. So guitar skills are synonymous in that person's mind with the acoustic guitar. Whereas the lead guitar, you think of like a Slash or a Van Halen or something, same instrument, literally the same instrument, amplified differently, tonal quality is different, but same strings, tuned to the same pitches.
That's right.
Like it's equivalently the same. I talk about the hats at the piano, wearing the accompanist hat versus wearing the soloist hat or the improviser hat.
Yeah.
And those relationships are present in the guitar as well. So like I said, there's this very, I don't want to use a musical term, but harmonious relationship between those two instruments that other instruments don't share. Like the trumpet and the piano, very divergent instruments, very, very little in common from an execution standpoint. But I do think the ironic part about the education is, and it does depend. If you take classical guitar lessons, you're learning a lot of scales and patterns right away on the fretboard.
I see.
But the easy onboard for guitar is chords.
Yeah.
I think the parallel.
That's a great phrase, by the way. The easy onboard.
Yeah, because you can show someone how to put their hand on the fretboard and keep it there, and then strum, and you're going to get a chord. I think the church musician experience for a piano player is very similar to that.
I agree.
So when you're talking about learning chords, like I just gave my daughter her first vocal. I didn't give it to her. I paid for her to go take lessons with a professional yesterday. She had her first voice lesson. She's not going to take regular voice lessons. I knew what this vocal coach was going to say.
Yeah.
And she's going to say, like, one of the best ways that you can get better at singing is to play the piano while singing, is to teach yourself how to sing using your piano skills. So this woman who's an excellent, she's a former Berkeley professor. She's retired now. She lives in my neighborhood. And she said to my daughter, no, it went right over my daughter's head, but I heard it. She said, I'm not very good at reading the notation. I basically learned how to play chords. And she
the
plays.
teacher said this. The teacher said this.
Teacher said this. The
Okay, I have
Berkeley
a very funny
professor
story,
said
yeah.
this. Yeah. So when she sits down and she plays, she plays at my sister's church, and she's on the rotation. So she plays once a month. And when she plays, you notice that the church attendance goes up because she's excellent. And she brings her own musicians. So the music is like more concert level. But when she sings even something like Amazing Grace, she'll sing, she puts down the chord, but you can hear the melody in her chords even when she's not playing the melody. And that's a very church skill. So whether it be white church or black church, I'm not really sure it matters, but like the idea of playing the chords without playing the melody. If I didn't even tell you what song I was singing right now, you could probably hear it. You can hear the melody because the way that she's playing the chords is all about getting that support, like very, very acutely aware of the chords. So I guess I'd answer the question by saying you're probably right. Like the way that guitar is traditionally taught is
Yeah.
the first fundamental concepts are hand positions, which are chords,
Yeah.
and they do give you this sense of completion because you're playing something right away.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, that's a
On the
Paul.
piano, you're not starting there
You're
often.
on fire today. Sense of completion. I'm writing because I try to explain this to other people. Or sense of maybe accomplishment. Maybe I'll even.
Yes, accomplishment. Yeah.
And I think piano people don't get it with the scale. I mean, I remember one of the things, and I'm kind of glad they did, the Yamaha School of Music where I took my group classes that my mom used to take me to. They would do a CEG. In fact, we call it, and I still think of it in terms of do, re, mi, fa, so. I don't know if
Mm.
that's a good thing. I can translate both languages, but I think in terms of, I still think, now I finally think CB, but all these years, CEG,
Yep.
then CFA,
Yep.
then we would do BDG, BFG, and then C. And actually, that was kind of cool. That was the coolest thing. And then I had to leave that thing, and I went to this classical thing, and I was just doing scales. And I could do my
Yep.
scales. I didn't know what they were for. And then I could read music, and then I'd play a couple of pieces, and I was like, oh, this is such drudgery, you know. And but I think a lot of people drop because of this. And then, okay, just to add to this theory, so my wife and I, when our daughter grew up a little bit, and then all of a sudden we have a little time, we'd go to this piano bar. She knew I liked piano bars, just for happy hour, and the older we get, we still go, but we try to avoid it because But back then we were a little younger. But it was funny. I'd go to Seasons 52. I don't know if they have them in Massachusetts, but they have them in Florida and California. And they're basically like just it's kind of a party Italian American or more American place with a little bit of Italian flair. And they would just play piano bars and stuff, Italian food, I should say. And there'd be these piano people playing, and I would ask every single one of them, and they would all do different things. And most of them, I remember one lady in particular. She just, and I think she was more of a singer, but she could play. And and I asked her, I said, "How are you remembering all these songs?" Because she would take requests, and she's like, "Oh yeah, yeah, I've got this whole sheet thing." Maybe she had an iPad, maybe an iPad had just come out, can't remember. And I looked at it, and it was very weird for me. And it was just the time I had met Ken, the sales guy, and I was like, "Oh, it just says A, D, E, maybe it even
Yeah.
said E7, which I wouldn't even known at the time. Even if I sort of, and I'm like, she's like, yeah, this is all I do. I can't read music. And I didn't ever look at people who can't read music as below. I just said, oh, she has a good ear. And I
Yeah.
said, no, there's some crutch to that thing she's doing. This is related to what Ken's saying. So anyway, usually, Paul, I love it. A couple times you actually completely disprove my crazy theories. I think unfortunately, you have the classic confirmation bias. You have more than confirmed my bias with that thing.
Yeah. Well,
Because I think, yeah, all of us have different varying levels of ear, natural ear. Just yeah, but
I've gone back and forth a lot. Like I've had this inner, because I'll share like some kind of private thoughts. Like I was a very reluctant teacher. I didn't want to teach, because I kind of in my head
oh, I thought you did it more because the family. You started a family.
I did, but in my head it was like failure, and I that sounds so bad now. But my point is, I didn't want to teach because I wanted to play, and I
Yeah, and
wanted
still
to be
I
a
can see it
player.
in you. Your eyes light up when you talk about gigs on all your
Yeah,
classes. They light
I
up.
mean, I do love playing, and I'm lucky that I'm somewhere, where I'm still close enough to be able to do it without having to go and leave,
Yeah, you're
my,
also a major metropolitan. You're in
yeah.
Boston and
There's
all
a
that.
few cities where you can do that, I suppose.
Yeah,
But my
probably.
point is, like, I was kind of a reluctant teacher because I was like, well, I don't really want to teach. So my passion for it is not like, and it felt personally
Even though
like
everyone in our class will admit you're like beyond gifted teacher.
well, I spent I appreciate that, but the evolution of that a little bit was just being a competitive guy, I think, and being like, well, there are good teachers and bad teachers. So once I
I
started
think
doing
you're
it,
more of more than competitive. You're kind of a thoughtful person. Yeah, and
I try to think about how to cut through the bullshit because,
yeah,
like, I think I paid for a lot of bullshit,
yeah,
and I
yeah,
think
yeah. Your New York your stories resonate. Yeah, you
yeah,
tell it. Yeah.
I think I paid for a lot of bullshit, which doesn't bother me because I think I was also a very bad student.
I think without that, I don't think you'd be who you are though.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I think
But
about
I
when I learn something new, all the BS, like the things I don't, if I don't cut through some of the BS, the critical thinking is there. But anyway, so yeah, but go ahead.
Well, the point is the question of whether reading music and being like a classically, being classically trained kind of suggests to somebody that you're a comprehensive musician.
Yeah.
You're a full musician.
Yeah.
Because why? Because you can read music and you can play difficult passages and you know your theory and you have your technical training and like, so you're just like
It's more of a signal, right? It's more of a signal.
a little bit. And then you hear the repertoire. And the classical audience is like less than 1% of the mainstream audience. So it's like, okay, well, I do this thing that puts me at the top apex predator level of ability, but then there's not really a pipeline for career. And then the people who are significantly less, athletic at the piano or whatever instrument, who are the country musicians or the pop musicians, and they have this massive lane that they can get into.
Yeah.
Because there's an audience for that.
They're not
So
even Stevie. They're not even Stevie Ray Vaughan. They're like less.
Yeah, well, and I'm just talking about my level, like meaning sidemen in an obscure regional market, not even necessarily like, Stevie Ray Vaughan. But I've spent a lot of time thinking like, what is the right channel? Because not everyone's going to be the same, but there's a long road in the musical technique, the classical lane. It's a long road.
Yeah.
There's a slightly shorter road, but to be fair to those jazz and pop musicians, the road is still very long. It's just what you picked up on. You get plugged into music making faster. The classical musician is in a long, like almost like those former Soviet Union gymnasts. From age 4, they're plucked and they just train 10 hours a day until that Olympics when they're 16 years old.
By the way, they do that with all the soccer teams. With the
Yeah, exactly, right.
I mean, and for the 99% of them, there was an ESPN article which was masterclass journalism. Their life it's beyond sucks. There's all kinds of abuse you can imagine. I don't even want to get into, but for that 1%, maybe.
But the
less.
real hallmark of difference, I think, is between classical and everything that's not classical, pop, jazz, whatever.
Yeah.
Your ear gets better faster when you don't know how to read music. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I have not concluded.
That's a very interesting.
But your ear gets better faster when you can't read because the only conduit that you have is maybe some basic shapes, like you said, A, D, E7, fine.
Yeah.
But A, D, E7 doesn't help you to do anything here. So you still need to know how to build some basic shapes. You need to know A is this. So your ear, when you play A and you're like, all I have for A is this.
Yeah.
And then Joni Mitchell does, what is it? Here's A. Here's D.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so I'm not going to sound very good if I go bum boo da boo doo ba bum ba bum 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 ba da. It doesn't sound like Joni Mitchell until I do.
I've never heard it, and I know you're right that your ear gets better if you don't read music. Like you take the crutch away and the skill develops.
But that's the word, crutch. And I'm on the fence as to like whether I think the music is a crutch or not, because as a non-high-profile musician, again, you're kind of getting into my if I was on a psychologist's couch, my intersection is I want to play. I like teaching. Yeah. I love playing. I've started to become more of a loving to teach too, but because I like the relationships and I like the interpersonal stuff. But I love playing. So the music, the notation, became a way for this regional musician who's like, just gonna have to find opportunities to play. Yeah. The music became the way that I could be a full-time musician. Without the music, I couldn't be a full-time musician. Why? I played a ton of theater gigs. Yeah. I played a ton of church gigs. Yeah. I have become, in the minds of many singers in my area, one of the better accompanists because they can give me their stuff. Yeah. And they can give me their stuff on a CD too, but if they have charts or if they have things that they want to do that they need put into charts for other musicians to play with them, these are all business.
Well, yeah, you can be the Rosetta Stone there. Yeah, with the church musicians, with this.
Right. So when someone says they want to be a musician, I'm also kind of trying to answer the question that they're not asking, which is, do you want to be a musician who can do this skill, or do you want to be a musician who has opportunities to play? If I couldn't read music, I would more than 50% reduce my opportunities to play. So I focused on doing, luckily, I mean, I didn't make some of these decisions. My parents made decisions, like you were saying before. My mom and dad got me piano lessons. It was classical training. My grandfather had a jazz background. He couldn't read music. And he wanted me to read for that reason, but then he also introduced me to, like, how do you play stuff when you're not reading anything? You know, it can be a thing, you know? And so I do think there's kind of I'm still on the fence because I'm like, well, there's kind of a balance. The best church players and jazz players have super developed ears. Often they will say they don't read very well. That's why their ears are so good. But the musicians who can play so versatile, like so many different things, they can be a chameleon. They can read. And so I'm in the area where I'm not a master of either one, but I have enough of a skill set in both where it's like both get me hired and then I ingratiate myself. You know, like then I do a good job on that project or on that gig. But I'm not a great reader and I'm not a great jazz player. I'm a good at both. And that in and of itself is maybe a little bit more rare to be decent at both in the same market.
Yeah. You are. I mean, you're decent is humble, but I get it. You're not the world's greatest reader. You know, you just put some big, complex Mozart thing. You don't immediately sight read like some of the best, but still, yeah. No, this is really good. By the way, this applies to other things too. I also feel that word onboard and accomplishment, like I think is really important for whatever you do in life, right? Because I feel that even if you play a sport or something like like golf, everyone talks about how they suck at golf, right? It's a very common thing, and I used to suck at it. I mean, I wasn't horrible because I'm a reasonable athlete, but yeah, sometimes the ball would go 250 yards, sometimes the ball goes like 5 yards. Like, why is that, right? And now that doesn't happen. I feel there's just like the court approach. There's like one swing. Like I can even verbally describe. I won't bore you with it. And I'm thinking until whether the kid is 3 years old or whether the person is 35 years old, like until they can do this one basic slow motion thing where they can just get the ball in the air at least 50 yards, like and even my daughter can do it just because she had some lessons when she was like you can't if you don't have that platform, you can't grow from there. And I think it's true with baseball. Like if you just can't, baseball probably one. I'm sure you played Little League a little bit. But, if you can't throw a ball from short to first base, right? You just can't do it. Or if you can't connect with a full swing, right? It just like there's something with the music, and I think it's chords for the average person. Like there's just something, and I even think those kids who, they do 5 hours a day. I know, piano up and down. There's just this chord and rhythm thing, which I'm still getting, and if they can't do the basic thing to the timing as we've been talking about, I think you can't do it. So anyway, interesting stuff.
Yeah, it is. It's very interesting.
There's always some onboard. I loved your word onboard. And unless you're onboarded, you're kind of lost.
And I think I said to my daughter, this morning or yesterday, I guess, to your point of like onboarding and accomplishment with the Jazz Edge group, like cohort of students. That's why my language for that, my sort of coded language for that is, something that you can play. Doesn't even need to be an entire repertoire, like an entire song. It can just be like we talked about, like your vignettes or
that's a really good point. That's something
because then you're playing it, so it's more like a real life experience.
Wow,
it's a little accomplishment.
You've got 3 gems in one.
Well, I told my daughter because I've told you the music at my church is quite not good. In terms of I've been a little bit surprised at how they haven't asked me to improve on it. But you have the pastor. And I know. So you stay in your lane, right? And I'm very, very careful, especially at church, to stay really, really well in my lane.
You've got enough going on too.
Yeah, but I told my daughter because she's like, well, it's not fair because Vince, my 8-year-old son, is a drummer. He's doing, and I wouldn't say this to his face.
No, you told me recently he's hit this.
He's doing very, very well. He's really doing well.
He'll be like, what's his name? Sugarfoot, like Michael Jackson.
My daughter is super creative and passionate creative, but not disciplined at the work ethic part yet. And I said to her, going back to chords, I said, if you just learn the chords, this is what the vocal teacher was telling her yesterday, if you just learn, not all of them either, just pick a key and learn like the 4, we don't talk Roman numerals yet with her, but because I said, you know what your best next opportunity is for real life music? I said, church. I can get you to play the piano, but you need to be reliable in doing these couple things, and she could be. Not like in 3 years. She could be right now. She just
No,
doesn't see that.
this is a very good age. It's funny at that age because I feel the kids learn subconsciously, not just with their minds like we do at our age. They learn subconsciously because they're young. Yeah, her rapid thing could go like that, right?
It could, but she doesn't see the connection yet between
She will.
what you just
she's
said.
10. She's 10.
Well, she's 10, but my point is like she has the desire and possesses the skill set. She can do, to your point, right? But she can't sit there and rock out for an hour so that she reliably, in a service, can be expected to go. And that's a lot of
Well,
these.
I'm in your daughter's boat. I need to do more of that too. So.
Yeah, and I think if she had just even one big success in the church of doing that, then it would probably open the floodgates to, oh, I want to do that again. Because people are looking for that opportunity, and playing with other musicians, it's not something that everyone has the opportunity to do. It's kind of hard to find that opportunity. But once you do it, if you can find that opportunity, it usually changes everybody's mind. There's something. It's almost like speaking. I don't really know how to.
Oh, it's the whole foreign language
analogy.
thing. I got you.
Well, I mean, it's almost like basking in this like somewhat spiritual experience that's not language based, but it's like you're having.
And
the
you don't
world's
think you
greatest...
can even. You don't even think you can get that you can get some of it online, but not all of it, right?
Right. Yeah, you're exactly right. Because that moment in that physical space where you're making sounds at the same time someone else is making different.
I know.
Complementary sounds and
A
rhythms.
couple of people have asked me to jam, and I'm like, okay, before taking.
You should do it.
And the funny thing is,
do it.
I would have before taking your classes, I wouldn't even have the confidence. But now that I can play to some rhythm, and I tell them where I'm at, I know I can do it. I even
You
told my
should do
wife-
it, and you should make yourself feel better by telling them in advance, like, I'd like to come in prepared to play a couple.
Yeah.
Because jamming could be an hour and a half, and that's like
then-
20 songs.
Yeah.
But I want to play these two. Can I just come in and jam on these two? And then everything else I'm going to have to go back and learn later,
Well, speaking of jamming, I jammed with you on Watermelon Man. So
Cool.
I moved my daughter into LA. She got a job. Did I tell you? I think
Yeah.
she's at the LA chart. It's low paying, but really interesting job.
That's great.
So I moved her in. So I had a day and a half to practice. Plus, I had all this work stuff. So I had a day and a half to practice. But I'm like committed. I'm like, no matter what, barring I'm out of the country or whatever, I have a day and a half. I'm going to do something. So I said, what can I do with the Watermelon Man? He taught me at 16 bars, and I wanted to now I have time. Like I have no excuse for next week, but
Yep.
I'm like, okay, I'm going to put Watermelon into Logic the way Paul taught me, and I'm going to do this on a backing track. I just didn't even have time to do that. But I said, okay, whatever little time I have, I'm going to play. So what I did was I took your YouTube, or you played it, and I said, I got to have some sense of time on it. Even if I'm off, I got to attempt it. So I took the lesson, the YouTube lesson, I hit play on it from when you started showing it to me. I put it at 60%, and I just played to that. And so that's what the first one is. So you're going to hear yourself talking at 60%.
Oh, okay. Oh, I forgot to open our chat here. Yeah, here we go. Oh. Gotcha. 16. Now solos. Yeah, good. That's fine.
I missed measure 9. I saw your face too when I missed it. You're like, I missed that one. And then all of a sudden I caught measure 10, 11, and 12. And you're like, oh yeah, I saw your face kind of get happier. But I decided to just cut that video because I was like, something is better than nothing to show him and put it out there.
Yes.
Like even for me, like you said, hey, your daughter can't get better till she does this. And obviously I don't play with others, but man, this playing with others, like I had no timing sense before even doing that. So even if that gets me 40% of the way, 50% of the way,
Good.
So I will this week try to do more of that. I'll just try to
Okay.
do more of it and at a faster. I know I missed it at times. Part of it was because I was going on your cues. You
Yeah,
know,
and my cues were not really like they were more just signing where we are in the song.
no,
It
and
wasn't
it was a
actually
transition.
counting.
Yeah, honestly, like I really only played mostly Tuesday. I kind of reviewed what I need to do Monday, and then it was really one day almost. But I was like, I can't get this in time. I can't get this in time. And then I was like, wait a second, maybe I can. And then I practiced for 3 hours on Tuesday
Oh,
of
good.
all these
Good.
different things. So at least I got one like crazy good practice in. And at the end of that, I was able to record. So
I think too if you get if you just even take that very very first chord, the F7 thing, right? With I'm toying with ideas, right, for what's going to happen in place of chord play in the fall, and this is not really revealing much because I haven't made any decisions. But one of the
well, I'm
things
getting
I'm
early
really,
information.
yeah, you're getting the inside. I want to do a portion of it as a guided practice. So, in other words,
Yeah.
I don't want to use your lesson time right now, but my
No,
point
no,
is,
but, yeah, but I get what you're saying.
whatever the whatever 60% is, I don't know what that tempo, but you find the tempo of the original and you just find what 60% would be. But you put the metronome on that. So like if I just to demonstrate this, if I put the metronome on something slower here at least. Dun, dun, so maybe this is like 68. So maybe this is about where that is, right? 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to play it, but I'm not going to play the form. I'm just going to stay on that F7 because there's going to be something that when you play it, you'll notice that was a tiny bit wrong, meaning it'll happen in a moment. And by repeating it over and over and over again, it's almost like a rock tumbler. You're like every little imperfection is getting an opportunity to get smooth on the very next opportunity to play it. So every repetition is like an instantaneous chance to erase what you
No
previously
question
did
about
and do
that.
it
No
again.
question.
And so if I start at 68 and I play this game, I've talked about this game before, but I'm not going to do all this on film, but I just want to make clear what I'm saying. Give yourself a score. For example, 10. The number 10 is your score. When I get to 10, I get to change from 68 to 72 or something. What is 10 though? 10 is a currency. 10 is correct. I have to get 10 correct. Now, every time I get it right, that's 1. But if I get it wrong, that's a negative 1.
It's
So how long did it
cumulative.
take me to get to 10? Yeah, so if I go like this, for example,
It's funny. I have something different than you, but that's what.
if I go 2, 3, 4, 1. But if I go minus 1.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, you
So I'm
get
back to
minuses. Oh.
Well, I'm saying like you're right, minus 1. So now I'm back to 0. So if I go 1, 2,
Oh, this is the Steph Curry free throw approach, basically.
yeah, I just messed it up, right?
You
So
know,
now I
he
have
needed to make 10 swishes, perfect swishes in a row before he'd stop.
in a row I have said that before too. I've said the in a row thing. This is a
Easier version.
slightly easier, yeah, because the idea is 10. But you have to subtract in real time anything that's not correct. So you might go up to 7 and then get 2 wrong, now you're at 5. And then you get 1 right, now you're at 6. Then you get 1 wrong, you're back to 5. Then you get 3 right, you're at 8. So you're working until you get 10. And this is a way for you to feel like empowered to say, I have earned the right to increase my tempo. So I finally get to 10.
Yeah.
Maybe it takes you 21 attempts, meaning every little unit of this is a single unit. So maybe it takes me 21 units before I actually put together 10 winners, which by definition means I had 11 stinkers in there,
Yeah.
So it's not actually as good.
Can, can I
As
tell you
10
what
in a
my
row.
approach? Okay, can I tell you what my approach was? And
Yeah,
just
yeah.
Take it honestly. And I learned this from doing the Willie things where you would grade us pass fail, which actually were very helpful.
Yeah.
I probably should do some more of that, and especially now that I have a little time. But I would do the scales or do the what do you call the counter things with all 12
Yep.
scales and all that, and that was very helpful, or the chords. But I would say to myself, and I don't know if I said it exactly this way, but I would think to myself, you don't have to attain perfection, but you have to be able to. I would do one of two things. You have to, and one of them I've told you before. You have to get it to like a 9 out of 10. Like if you were to judge, if you were to judge it, a 9 out of 10, or sometimes you just hit it. Sometimes it would happen. And even when I'd hit it, I wouldn't think, oh, now it's loaded. I was like, okay, we'll see if I can continue. And
Yeah.
once I was at a 9 or 10 reasonably consistently, I'm like, okay, now I can speed up the BPMs.
Hmm.
That's been my approach to date.
That's the same thing we're talking about. Yep. Just a
Okay, so
slightly
it's
different.
similar. Okay, yeah,
Very
because then
similar.
because I didn't want to put perfection there because like it'll.
Yeah.
It's the only way I could speak publicly, as another analogy. Like even though I'm a chatterbox, I used to get nervous speaking publicly, like anyone. I mean, not nervous. I'd be like, "Am I saying something clear? I'd be like, do I have anything of value?" It was sort of that my
Yeah.
cosplaying. But then I finally realized, wait a second, I just need to get there and get like, even if it's a 9 out of 10, just get the message across.
Correct.
And that's what I'm trying. Yeah, okay.
Yep. That's a big part of it. Is it, like
And
you
then
can clean
everything.
up the.
Yeah, now everyone says, "Oh, you speak so well," blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, whatever.
Well, you can clean up for the piano analogy of that you can clean up the messy bits in that refined practice.
Yeah.
But yeah, you need to get something that you can get up on its legs to play first. And so
Yeah. But I think your plus one. Maybe I'll do it even to 5. But I like your plus one, especially at the beginning. Yeah, that's
yeah.
good. Okay.
Okay, great.
The next one. Okay, this one I did. I mean, the timing will be okay, but then I didn't quite nail the punch you're in because I needed more practice on it. But I said, you know what, I'm gonna just ship it because what you told
Okay.
me in this was when I do scales at the beginning and then at the end you're like, hey, play it normal. There was a word you used. Oh gosh, it was staccato and loud. Mercado.
Oh yeah.
You said more
Yeah.
mercado at the end, and I don't
Yeah.
quite think I did that, but at least I'm approaching that.
All right, let's check it out.
That part there.
Yeah, that's better. Much
It's be
better.
it's better,
Yeah.
but I was like, okay, this one I'm gonna surprisingly, I thought watermelon would take more time to get to sometime, but I was like, oh no no no, this one's gonna take to really make that stand out. That's gonna take a week.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that's where that
remember,
is.
yeah, just try to think a little bit less
Yeah,
about the counting and be able to
I like that.
maybe record yourself on your phone, but don't just play one and then don't just record yourself one time and then listen to it. Do it like 5 times in a row, and maybe even just take that.
Oh.
I messed it up. Like play just out last bars 9 through 12, the last 4 bars.
Yeah,
Like
I
five
kind
or
of felt
six
like I
times in
played
a
it
row.
regular, slightly accented, regular, super accented. I was thinking 2 and 4, like 2 and 4.
Yeah. You can take, a good little tip might be is, I know I've from working in musical theater so much, I've heard many like directors tell their actors this, and that is anything that you want to convey that's emotional or exaggerated,
Yeah.
you have to amplify times 10 because the person sitting front row might see like small little movements on your face to convey sadness. But if you want to convey sadness to the person in the very, very last seat of the balcony, it has to be this exaggerated, histrionic,
Yeah.
overwhelmingly kind of sad.
But you have
So
to do
the
it
person-
sparingly, right?
Of course, yeah. But I'm saying for practice, you can overly dramatize some of this
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
So
yeah,
like I keep missing it.
Oh, hold on. I thought just that's an important point. I thought you told me for the. In fact, maybe I'll do a quick guided practice with you on this one right now.
Yeah.
Let me go to my piano. I thought you actually told me, and maybe it doesn't matter which one you do. You accented the other notes that I wasn't planning on accenting.
Oh, okay. Well,
But no. So instead of the what I would call the B flat chord, which I know is a shape, but the B flat major, you told
Yep.
me to play it like this.
With the grace note, you mean, or?
So don't accent the. Okay, so the shape starts in a or second inversion. B
Yeah, no, I get the chord. Yeah.
Okay, so you play that kind of normal, and then the next one when you go down a shape, you accent that one.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah. That's how you. So does it matter which ones I accent, or do you just need to accent some? Because
Well, no, I mean it does matter in the sense of whichever one you're trying to accomplish is the one that you should practice. I just probably switched them around. I wasn't hearing, like I said, I wasn't hearing it in my head correctly, but
no. I was wondering if there was a reason you were accenting what I would call the 2 and the 4, but yeah.
no, I think it's just a matter of like last week when I was showing you like the difference between how you play it and how I'm playing it and how to effectuate that the way I'm playing, how to get that out of your playing.
There's some exaggeration in what you were doing. Yeah.
Yeah, and right now I think you this is very natural. I think this is a mechanical thing. You're playing all the right notes and you're playing the right rhythms. It's an affect. So again, it's kind of like language a little bit. So what we're trying to get you to do is to feel the velocity with which you hit the notes. Is to like really sense that to play this, all the notes and the fingers strike evenly, but the punchiness of the heaviness with which the hand comes down is not as severe as when you want that. So this one is much more like aggressive and athletic, and it requires a little bit of like letting your hand drop and fall.
I feel myself almost shake, like my body shakes. Yeah.
Right. So one way to I didn't say this a moment ago, but I'm slightly changing it, but not even just heavy here, but amplify what? The lightness here. So maybe it's more like like to make it really starkly obvious that
that's
this
good.
is light and this is heavy and this is light and this is heavy.
I love it. Yeah.
Just because like by amplifying it, you're playing into the control that you need to be able to exert. Your hand needs to turn on, off very quickly. The ability, yesterday, the vocal teacher, who knows my daughter's a 2 to 3 year intermediate level pianist, had her doing a simple exercise, which I was like, oh man, I hope she doesn't ask me to do it because she knows I'm a pianist. And she just had her play C major with one hand staccato and the other hand legato. So the right hand's going staccato, 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 and the left hand's going legato, 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 and then they invert it. So the right hand does, legato, while the left hand does. So now that's not as easy as it sounds. And now switch.
Oh, it sounds very hard, to be honest with you.
And then switch back. So my point is like something as simple as a C major scale, staccato and legato, but with the hands doing different things at the same time. That's kind of difficult. So you're just practicing it, not because you actually want to do that, but because you want to be able to really focus on a practice way of how do I force my brain to be super focused on controlling what's required to get that sound.
Yeah.
So light juxtaposed against really heavy is the way that you turn on and off the weight that you need to make that.
I love it. No, that's.
And whether it's heavy and then heavy and then light versus light and then heavy, it doesn't really matter. It's whichever one you want it to sound like is the one you're going to practice.
All right.
But this overall sounds really good. I mean, it does. It sounds much better.
Yeah. No, I think this one I can work on. These little tips at the end were great. The next one is the Jalen blues scale. Last week I did 70. This week I did 75. Even though I had a day and a half, so I'm like, oh.
Okay, great. All right, let's check it out. Very good. Those triplets sound great. All right, well, 75 is not too fast for you.
Okay.
Doesn't this sound smooth to you? Doesn't
it does. I feel like yeah.
Yeah, you can hear this and tell that it sounds very fluid. That's the goal. So I mean, I'll listen to the rest of this, but without even needing to, whenever the next practice assignment is on this, it needs to be harder because this is sounding good. So it's now easy. A+, great job.
Okay, well, you gave me some tips last time on what to do to change this. I didn't have time to improve those. Oh, one thing you did, actually, yeah, check the next one out.
Okay.
This one I actually need help on. So you said, hey, you can increase the BPMs, you can do the. I wrote them all down. But one of the things you said was, hey, start on B, which I'm doing, but
Yeah.
end on, and I wrote A, but I think it was
Flat.
A flat, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, that's a trip because I'm ending on the end of the two.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, this is good. Now I didn't do this with any counting, but I'm at least let me show Paul what I did here, because this is like day one of trying this, but this was hard for me. So
Okay. Let's listen. Good. Good. One little flub there in bars 9 through 12 in terms of like the pattern, right? Like in terms of, in other words, when you get to that ninth measure and you're on the C7, I would have preferred you to keep what you had been. I know we're talking about call, response. So if that's what you were doing, no problem. My critique is, I would have rather you, because in measure 9, you have C, measure 10, you have B flat. That's the only time where you have to change the chord in back-to-back measures. You don't have two full measures of a single chord.
Yeah.
So I would have preferred to just see you execute this over that.
Oh, okay.
Because you know what's going to happen? You're going to land on the B when you land on the B flat 7 chord. So ba ba dee ba da ba bum ba ba dee ba 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 dee ba da ba da ba ba dee ba. Other than that, it's very good. And again, put the metronome on because you're playing triplets, just like you were in the previous exercise. And
Yeah.
They sounded so good at 75.
Yeah.
So have these two exercises merge where it's like, well, now I'm going to play, this B to A flat or B to the octave up of A flat. And you're playing them as triplets, so put it all together and, with the metronome. I don't know what, 75 you said, right?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, maybe you have a,
I think I did eights. Yeah.
You're right. You did
I did swung eights. Yeah.
You did eighth notes, right. So again, you don't have to do all this. And by the way, I'm away next week, so you can also, as I say these things, think to yourself, I'd have 2 weeks.
You're away the whole week, right? So I'll
away the whole week, yeah.
Okay, so we'll do the lesson 2 weeks from now. Okay, good. I have a lot of time to practice. Okay.
You have a lot of time, right. So as I say this, just bear in mind, this wouldn't be a 1 week turnaround, it would be 2. But you could take what you already let me just take what you did already.
Yeah.
We just said putting the metronome on 75. So that's 2, 3, 4. I mean, it's already what you're doing at about the same tempo. It doesn't sound that much, might even be a tiny bit slower, Oops. Sorry, I'm not able to talk and play at the same time. But, so it's on tape. Bars 9 through 12 would sound like this. 3, 4. You didn't play that. You played 3, 4.
Interesting. Okay. Perfect. This gives me something. This is great. Okay.
And you could do triplets. You could try this as triplets, which means the same distance. Let's just see what that would sound like, right? If we go triplet, triplet, triplet. Wait, right? And then so a little eighth note at the end there. That might be a cool exercise. I'll put it on tape so you have it if you want to copy it.
Love it.
This is combining what you did previously, the triplets at 75, with this sort of string length of, or scale segment of B to A flat. So it would sound like this. I'm going to just make up a rhythm using triplets, right? So 2, 3, 4. 4, 1. Triplet, 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 trip. Now the 4 chord. Triplet, triplet, trip. 8th note to the very end. You notice that? Or da 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 dee da 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 dee. Now do it over the 5 chord, bar 9. 2, 3, 4, 1. Triplet, 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 8th note. And that would be like one successive.
No, that's super helpful. One funny question I have is, I don't like ending on the B
Yeah.
after measure 12. So then I just kind of play a measure 13, and then I kind of play a measure 14 with F. And I was thinking to myself, I don't think that's bad, right? It's like,
Well, it's not bad, but maybe a better, instead of adding additional measures,
yeah,
you could
what would
just
you do?
change. I would keep the measures the same because the 12 bar thing is kind of sacred. Like the
Okay.
template is so solid.
Un-
But changing the melody, because what you're really saying, again, it's very keen. I'll say it your way. I don't like ending on the B because it doesn't sound good.
Yeah.
But what you're really saying is, I don't like ending on the B because it doesn't sound like there's a resolution where
That's
there should be at the
That's
end
right.
of the.
That's right.
So
That's
so
right.
melodically invent, i.e., improvise your own resolution. So if you're going to play something like now again, this you can script this, but I'm just going to try it in real time, right?
Oh, that's a
Something
good
like
idea. That's a great idea.
Just change it so that final, because you're still hearing, which I don't want to take out of you.
Although I've noticed you and other professional ones do add a measure 13, or at least the first downbeat of the 13th, just to play the F sometimes. Or you
Oh,
don't.
not a 13th measure, no, because that would throw off everyone in the band. There's not a 13th measure. What you might be hearing is like, I'm trying to think of, so if I'm playing. So if I'm playing, it's still always 12. So, measure 9, 2, 3, 4. That F is the downbeat of the next chorus, bar 1. That F is the next measure 1 of the new 12 bar cycle. So, yeah, not a 13th measure
Okay.
ever.
Okay. no,
But if you're thinking in terms of that call response, where the
Yeah.
response is like the resolution that you want to hear, just melodically invent it. Don't add measures. Simply change the
I
melody.
love it. I love it. I absolutely love it. I didn't realize that. And the sacredness. I'm gonna actually write that word. That's actually
Sacred. Of the playing with other people.
yeah. No, no, no.
sacred.
Yeah. Well, that. I mean, especially with other people. That's true.
Sacredness of the form.
12,
Yeah.
12 bars. Yeah.
Yeah, because that would be something that, especially if you are playing with other people, that would completely confuse
Yeah. Yeah. The jazz play, the bass. I totally get it.
where you are at any given the XY axis.
Even if
is
you're
where it would be
ending.
off.
Even if you're ending. Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, even if you're ending. Now, there's sometimes a tag. There's sometimes a tag, which means whatever. It's not worth getting into because it's down the road quite a bit. So
One last question for you. And so I saw a YouTube ad, which I'm usually not susceptible to, but this one was perfect for me. And it was from Rick Beato.
oh yeah,
And he's offering a music ear training class because apparently his 7-year-old or 8-year-old had perfect
Yeah.
pitch.
they
And
trained that into him. Did you see it?
and
Did you see
that's
those
what
videos?
he says. So he and I think he's like, oh, I'm sure he's thinking to himself, I got all these music people. How do I monetize this channel?
Yeah.
And I don't blame him. He does so much. And so he came up with a music training thing. So I just
Yeah.
want to show you this for 2 minutes and
Sure.
and I so let's see here. Okay, let's see.
So did you get it?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I mean he said it's $149 normally it's or $299 $49 this
I
week.
mean, everybody does that. Yeah.
Which
his
oh,
stuff is great.
I mean I'm susceptible, but more than that, I was like, wait a second, no, I really want to improve my ear training, and so he
Yeah.
had here. I'm gonna pull this up real quick.
Okay.
Share screen. I might need to get permission. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then share. Okay. And I did well on a whole bunch of things. So so I'll show you everything, but Here's the. I've just started this, but so it'll tell you if you're right or wrong. See there, I was right. Oh, see, usually when it goes up, although here, I it's training my minor second and my major second, and I was like,
Yes.
but I can. Usually when it goes up, I can tell the difference, but when it goes down, I can't.
Interesting. So these are great. This is
And the
excellent.
harmonic ones I can nail because I can hear the dissonance of the minor.
Yeah.
I don't know if the word is dissonance, but I can hear the
Well, you
yeah,
can hear that tonality of like kind of
yeah,
melancholy. Yeah.
yeah. And so he has a lot of things in here. So I'll just show you his whole menu. First, he asks you about pitch, musical aptitude, and then timbre was super easy. It's just the same note. And even musical aptitude, I probably could have got 100 if I practiced. Then he has intervals, harmonic seconds. I mostly nailed. Then he's got harmonic thirds, and he gives you some videos on how to like listen to this stuff.
That's excellent.
So I
Yeah,
just the whole concept, but I don't know if you had a quick tip just before we leave here on melodic seconds,
yeah.
like how to hear it, especially coming down. Like, you know what I thought to myself, especially on the minor second. So on the major second, like I hear like a successive tone in a scale, but I kind of heard the Pink Panther voice.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because we were talking about that the other day, and so it was
Yeah, yeah.
fresh in my head, and I don't know. So I guess maybe I just need to practice and just use my ear and get better at it. But
So I'm happy to help you with this at any point if you want to. I'm guessing that Rick has a bunch of either YouTube videos, tutorials. Maybe they're
he has
included
he
in.
has like these 50-second videos. I'll save up the things if you had any quick tips on seconds or. But I think the number one thing I need to do is just practice this.
Yeah. Well, here's a quick one. Okay. A
Okay.
couple. These might be
Here,
bad at references. If I wanted to give you really
let
great
me
references,
stop the share screen. Let me stop the share screen. Just
you said going up. No.
no, going up is tends to be better. Going down is better. Well, you can show me either one, but
Well, okay. So
how do I wait? Let me just stop.
here's
Yeah, go
here's a
ahead.
way to try to practice this. Now it's much more important. I'm sure Rick says this somewhere too, because I've consumed a ton of his content, and honestly, he's he's probably a better musician than me holistically because he understands so many things. And the sign of somebody who's really good at them is he explains them so that he makes me feel like, oh yeah, like, of
I don't
course,
know about that. I don't know. I mean, they're just different skills, but yeah, okay.
But when I was doing all this stuff in college, was my first exposure. High school, I did a little bit of it, but in college, it got really intense. When you're trying to map your ability to hear these different intervals, and it's great that they're arranged in terms of let's work on seconds, major and minor seconds. Major are whole step, minor is half step. So let's just find a couple references that are already locked into your brain. Okay? How about happy birthday? Now, here's the important thing, and this might not make sense, so you might have to chew on this for a minute. We don't want to think about these things as keys. We want to think about them as intervals, meaning
Yes.
relationships.
I agree.
Okay?
I agree.
So here's a major second. Now listen,
Yeah.
boom, that's going to be a major second. We're not thinking about it in terms
That's
of a
great.
key. We don't want to
Yeah.
think about it in a key.
I agree.
Because it's not really 1 and 2. It's actually 5 and 6. If we're in the key of Happy Birthday for F,
That's a good point.
that's not the first and the second scale notes. Those are the fifth and the sixth scale notes. So we don't want to think about them as key. We want to think about them as intervals. Major second is Happy Birthday. So if he plays anything for you, Happy Birthday, birthday. So you want to listen to those notes and think, can I sing Happy Birthday? If the answer is yes,
Oh, that's a great tip.
it's a major second. What if the answer is no? Well, if you're only dealing with seconds, if the answer is no, it's obviously a minor second. But that's not going to help you in real life because not everyone's going to say, I'm only going to play major or minor second. They're going to play any interval. Like you have to. So when we're working on them, it's good.
But that
to group
helps
them
in the
terms of-
building up. That helps in the yeah.
So here's another one that would help when we're dealing with minor seconds. We can give one for an up and a down.
Yeah. Halloween, whatever. Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Jaws, even though
Jaws,
it's never
Jaws,
going to
yeah.
be that low, Jaws is going to be a minor second, right? But I like to think of my personal favorite minor second
Yeah.
is the idea that it's a leading tone. In other words, it's the note that brings you to, right? The minor second. So think to yourself, can you play? Those last two notes are minor second.
How about that's awesome. How about going down?
How about?
Oh wow.
Right? So if you have the minor second going down, it's the beginning of Beethoven's Für Elise. Da 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 da. So you want to just find your own, and that's part of the learning actually. When I was in college, there was an internet, but there wasn't like this wellspring of free, awesome, incredible materials and videos. So Rick Beato probably has something where you don't need to do this. I bet you there's a video where
that's the one thing missing from his thing. He gives you these quick videos, but he probably has other videos somewhere else.
He probably has other free ones.
But you gave me, interestingly, what you did is, and I did this with the rhythm class. And the piano salesman guy told me to do this too. I never really did it. But now that you gave me 3 good examples, that's where if you prompt the AI correctly, if you don't prompt it correctly, it'll give you mediocre answers. But if I said exactly what you said just now, then it'll give me more. Right. And something will really click with you. Although I think these were so good.
Paul, and you want to go through and find the ones, because the thing about like a happy birthday is everybody knows it. Like everybody who's never even studied music who can sing even a tiny bit can go, happy birthday, and they can get their voice to basically accommodate those pitches. Okay, so that's a good one. Now there's tons of other ones. I just don't have them at the tip of my tongue. But you want to find one that's so like for me, that's in my brain because I've had umpteen dozen students have to play. Like I can almost hear the note E out of thin air because I've had so many students play Für Elise. So you want to find yours. And it might be something where you need to examine. Like, for example, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, when you get to perfect fifth. Twinkle, twinkle. A really hard one is the tritone, right? But West Side Story. Maria.
That's interesting.
Just met a girl named Maria. So like there's one for everything. There's some great ones.
I love it. That is such a great
And I'm sure there's a website or a YouTube video or Rick himself has.
No, and I can take the website and your cues, and then I can make the beauty of AI now is once you prompt it, I'm sure it would do it normally, but I could ask ChatGPT for more examples, and it probably won't hallucinate if you give this good information.
Right, if you prompt it the right way, yeah. Or you refine it.
Paul,
all right, man, great job. I will see you
on
in
the 6th, August 6th, I think, yeah.
Yeah, 2 weeks, right, exactly.
Thank you so much. Terrific lesson, as always.
You're welcome. Excellent job, as always. So I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Enjoy LeBron in Miami. It looks like it's Miami, so.
It does look like that. Well, what's his face is there, so it's going to be another super team. Yeah, onto the Giannis, right? Isn't Giannis there?
Giannis is there, and so we'll see.
Yeah, they could be. I mean,
you never know. They need somebody. Maybe Paul, you can pull your old jumper. They need you out there.
Yeah, remember when the Lakers loaded up with Malone at the very end? Like they put all those.
Yeah,
studs?
I think they would have won. Remember, if Detroit's defense wasn't so good, which it was phenomenal, I think they would have won. So you never know.
You never know. We'll see. All right, man. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Take care.